Doctors gave up on the billionaire's son, then a homeless boy did the impossible. The emergency room fell into complete silence as one final monitor let out a long, lifeless tone. Some of the country's most respected doctors lowered their heads, believing they had reached the end of a battle they could no longer win. The billionaire father stood frozen, watching his only son slip away while millions of dollars, the finest hospitals, and the world's greatest specialists had failed to save him. Then, from the hallway, a barefoot homeless boy quietly walked into the room. His clothes were worn, his face carried the marks of hardship, and no one expected anything from him. Yet within the next few minutes, the impossible would happen, changing every life inside that hospital forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to Tales of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world that hope is never truly lost. Nathan Caldwell had built one of the largest technology empires in the world. His skyscrapers reached into the clouds, private jets carried him across continents, and politicians waited weeks for appointments with him. But none of those things mattered anymore. Every achievement had become meaningless the moment his 8-year-old son, Ethan, collapsed from a mysterious neurological illness that no specialist seemed able to explain. The disease had progressed rapidly despite every treatment available. Doctors from New York, London, Tokyo, and Zurich had tried experimental therapies. Nothing worked. Nathan spent nearly every hour beside his son's hospital bed, hoping for a miracle that never came. Every passing day stole another piece of Ethan's strength until even breathing became difficult. Outside the hospital, another child fought an entirely different battle. 12-year-old Noah had no family, no home, and no certainty about tomorrow. After losing both parents in an accident years earlier, he survived by collecting discarded bottles, helping vendors unload supplies, and sleeping wherever he could find shelter. Many people walked past him every day without making eye contact. Some assumed he was a troublemaker simply because of his appearance. Yet beneath the torn clothes lived a heart filled with extraordinary kindness. Noah never kept food to himself if another hungry child appeared. He shared blankets during cold nights and always cared for injured stray animals he found in abandoned streets. One rainy afternoon, Noah noticed an elderly man collapse near a public park. While dozens of people hesitated, he rushed forward without thinking. Remembering lessons his mother had taught him years before she passed away, he carefully turned the man onto his side, cleared his airway, and asked someone nearby to call an ambulance. The paramedics later said Noah's quick actions had likely saved the man's life. Before leaving, one of the paramedics quietly thanked him and explained a few simple emergency techniques that anyone could use before professionals arrived. Noah listened carefully, storing every word in his memory because he believed every life deserved a chance. Weeks later, while searching for recyclable bottles behind the city's largest hospital, Noah heard frantic voices coming from an open service entrance. Nurses were running. Doctors spoke urgently. Family members cried in the hallway. Curious but concerned, Noah stepped inside. Nobody noticed the small homeless boy standing quietly against the wall as medical staff rushed toward the intensive care unit. Inside Ethan's room, the situation had become desperate. Despite every advanced machine surrounding him, his condition suddenly worsened. During the confusion, one experienced physician noticed something unusual but dismissed it under pressure. Everyone focused on complicated equipment while precious seconds disappeared. Noah watched through the partially opened door. Something reminded him of the emergency lessons he had learned months before. He noticed Ethan's head had fallen into an awkward position that appeared to restrict his breathing. The medical team was preparing additional medication while the simplest problem remained unnoticed amid the panic. Before fear could stop him, Noah stepped forward. Several doctors shouted for him to leave immediately, believing the homeless child had wandered into a restricted area. But Noah calmly pointed toward Ethan's neck and gently gestured that his head should be repositioned. At first, no one listened. Then one exhausted nurse, with nothing left to lose, carefully adjusted Ethan exactly as Noah had indicated while another physician rechecked his airway. Within moments, Ethan's oxygen levels began rising. The room froze. The alarms that had screamed moments earlier gradually settled. The monitor displayed stronger numbers. Doctors quickly continued treatment, now able to stabilize the child. They realized that while the illness remained serious, a critical airway obstruction had made everything dramatically worse. During the overwhelming emergency, everyone had focused on the rare disease instead of the immediate problem. Nathan could barely understand what had happened. He looked toward the frightened homeless boy standing silently near the doorway, expecting someone to remove him. Instead, every doctor stared at Noah with disbelief. Further examinations revealed something even more astonishing. Ethan's condition, though still dangerous, had never been completely hopeless. The temporary airway issue had pushed him to the edge, and Noah's simple observation had bought doctors enough time to continue the treatment that finally began working over the following days. News spread quickly throughout the hospital. Reporters arrived expecting another tragic story about a billionaire losing his only son. Instead, they discovered an entirely different headline. The child everyone had ignored had become the unexpected reason another child survived. Nathan searched every corner of the city to find Noah after learning he had quietly disappeared once the emergency ended. The boy never waited for praise. He simply returned to the streets because that was the only life he knew. After several days, Nathan found Noah sharing his dinner with two younger homeless children beneath an old bridge. The billionaire approached without security guards or cameras. For the first time in years, he met someone who expected absolutely nothing from him. Nathan learned about Noah's life, his parents, and the quiet strength that had carried him through unimaginable hardship. He discovered that Noah had once dreamed of becoming a doctor because he wanted no child to suffer alone. Poverty had stolen that dream long before it ever had a chance to grow. Nathan decided that saving his son's life could never be repaid with money alone. Instead, he chose to change Noah's future. He arranged safe housing, enrolled him in one of the city's finest schools, and made sure every opportunity his own son enjoyed would also be available to the boy who had unknowingly saved him. Months passed, and Ethan slowly regained his health. He often visited Noah after school. Although they came from completely different worlds, they formed a friendship built on gratitude rather than wealth. Ethan admired Noah's courage, while Noah admired Ethan's determination to recover. Nathan transformed one of his office buildings into a foundation dedicated to helping homeless children receive education, healthcare, and safe shelter. He named it after Noah's late parents, believing true heroes deserve to be remembered even if the world never knew their names. Years later, Noah stood proudly in a white medical coat during his graduation ceremony from medical school. Sitting in the front row were Nathan and Ethan, applauding with tears in their eyes. The homeless child once ignored by everyone had become the compassionate doctor he always dreamed of being. Patients loved him not because of his medical knowledge alone, but because he treated every person with dignity regardless of their appearance, background, or financial status. He never forgot what it felt like to be invisible. One evening, Noah walked through the pediatric ward where frightened children waited for hope. He smiled gently at each family because he understood that sometimes healing begins long before medicine works. It begins when someone refuses to give up on another human being. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Tales of Kindness. Your support allows these stories of hope to reach more people who may need them today. Special request, please comment with one word, kindness, if you believe one small act can change someone's entire life. Nathan often said that he had spent billions searching for miracles, only to discover that the greatest miracle arrived wearing torn clothes, empty pockets, and a heart full of compassion. The doctors never truly gave up because they stopped caring, they simply reached the limits of what they knew. Noah reminded everyone that hope sometimes comes from unexpected eyes, simple observations, and ordinary people willing to act when others cannot. And that is why the greatest measure of a person has never been the size of their fortune, but the size of their heart.